So the Redmi Note 4 actually comes in two models, and the one you're seeing here is the Redmi Note 4 Pro, which costs approximately $40 more than the standard model. Either way, the build quality far surpasses the price you pay for it. Xiaomi has seriously upped their game since the previous Redmi Note 3. They've introduced chamfered edges, and it just has a more solid feel all round. The slight curves on the sides make it palm quite nicely, and while the design is verging a tad on the unoriginal side, it does look clean, minimalist, and is a step in the right direction. So under the hood is where things get really interesting with the Redmi Note 4 Pro. So we've got the Helio X20, which is a deca-core CPU that has 10 CPU cores, and all of them are active at once. Combine this with 3GB of RAM, and the Redmi Note 4 is by far the most powerful Redmi Note smartphone to date. In terms of UI performance, it absolutely flies, and the same can be said for pretty much anything else. Now it's easy to get carried away here, but even though it has 10 cores, this is not as powerful as smartphones like the Galaxy S7 Edge, even though those things have less CPU cores. Having said that, even though it's not quite the pinnacle of gaming performance, it's very, very fast, and it'll pretty much run every game as you'd expect it to, with a minimum of 30 frames per second. And it goes from strength to strength, because the Redmi Note 4's display is great. It's got a 1080p resolution, and with a 5.5-inch screen size that gives you a PPI of 401, which is pin sharp. It looks very, very crispy. On top of that, the colors and the saturation are really high. The display really pops, and MIUI doesn't quite do that justice because it has very pastel looking colors, but I have to tell you, playing games, watching movies, and it's a very enjoyable viewing experience, there's no denying it. In terms of software, things get a little more dicey. We're running Android 6.0, not 6.0.1, and there's no word on a 7.0 update. We've also got MIUI 8, which has pretty much the same advantages and disadvantages as MIUI 7. It's slicker than ever, but still a little bit childish, and to be honest, whilst it's not terrible, I would recommend a third-party launcher. So when I took this smartphone out of the box, I started getting really excited because I saw two speakers. Unfortunately, there is only one, the other one is a microphone, but it produces a full sound with a noticeable amount of bass. Vocals sound great, and so do games and movies. Whilst every Redmi Note smartphone has had insane power for the price you pay, there's always been some room for improvement in the camera department, and I'm happy to say that the Redmi Note 4 has taken some steps in the right direction. Macro shots are now starting to look very crisp, and with an f2.0 aperture you do get some decent bokeh effects. The shutter speed is faster than average for the price, it handles colour and contrast really well, and even HDR scenarios with surprising ease. Moving into indoor scenarios and even ultra low light environments, the Note 4 still manages to hold up that crispiness, which I think should be applauded. The camera is slightly less impressive when there's no real focal point, and the photos do tend to have a slightly blue tinge to them. But on the other hand, the 5MP front camera produces a really clear output, so overall the camera experience has improved a lot, and it gets better. In fact, a lot better, because the capacity of the battery on this thing is 4100 mAh, and that's massive. To give you an idea, I spent pretty much one whole day downloading apps, playing games, browsing the internet, and then I left the phone overnight, woke up the next morning, and it was still on 37%. The fingerprint scanner feels every bit as fast as it does on my S7 Edge, and we've also got support for microSD cards up to 128GB. So guys, that is it. That is the Xiaomi Redmi Note 4. I've been super excited to review this phone, and it did not disappoint. It takes everything that the Xiaomi Redmi Note 3 did and improves on it in many ways, and whilst it hasn't quite reached that pinnacle of perfection, Xiaomi has raised the bar for what we expect from a budget smartphone. So if you've managed to make it this far through the video, then thanks a lot for watching, I really appreciate it. If you did enjoy it, then a like would go a really long way, and if you subscribed, that would just be amazing. With that being said, I will see you guys next time.